I would like to welcome you to our webinar on welcoming your employees back to the workplace with confidence. We appreciate you spending just under an hour with us today and taking the time to learn how leading companies and institutions are preparing for the return of their employees, students, and staff with mobile apps powered by the Modo WorkReady solution. My name is Chris Cagnesso, and I'm the marketing specialist from Modo Labs. And our featured speakers for today are Andrew Yu, CTO and founder of Modo Labs, and Ed Bella, the Director of Enterprise Solution Engineering at Modo.
Great, thank you very much, Chris. So as Chris mentioned, I'm the CTO and founder of Modo Labs, and I really hope that everybody is safe and healthy. And it appears that the new word is adjusting to the new normal, and we at Modo Labs are working very hard to bring you solutions and ideas to help you and your organizations go through this phase. So before we start, I just wanted to give a quick introduction about the company Modo and what we do. And I know that many of you are our existing customers, so we welcome your participation in today's webinar. But for those of you who are new, Modo Labs was founded about 10 years ago by myself and a number of founding team members. We had worked on an app called MIT Mobile App, probably dating back to 12, 13 years ago, to really help the faculty, students, and staff connect with the campus on their smartphones. In the last few years, we had expanded our mission to help both universities and companies to help employees and students engaged with a unified digital experience for the workplace and campus. Given today's situation with a global pandemic, we see our mission to be even more important. So just a brief, highlight of some of our customers. I'm not supposed to, use logos and stuff apparently, so just bear with me. But we do work with over 300 different universities around the world. Many of them you probably know, I have heard of before. So that's actually one side of our business. And with that, the campuses have particular needs, and we will certainly follow up with additional topics on how you return students back to the campus. But for today's webinar, it's mainly focused on returning the employees back to the corporate offices. Now I'm showing Capital One's use case here and their quote, but they represent one of our key customers with their At Work app. Really designed to elevate the employee experience and maximizing productivity while at the office. But of course, you can extend that to the virtual employees as well. Now, over the few weeks, we have been actively working with many customers and universities to plan for the eventual return to the campus and workplaces. And I have to be honest and say that eventual is probably the right word to use because many are, if not most, are still in the planning stages. And they are all, reminding everyone that it's not about, when you actually return, but to make sure that you're doing the right things, not to rush to have the employees back in the office. But having said that, some in different locations around the world have already started to open up their locations. And they're doing this in a phased approach, whether it's within the next few weeks or months, or possibly next year. The idea is that everyone is planning for the eventual return. Now, it may not be the same for every company or every organization. And we also hear things like, well, maybe 15%, maybe 25%. To start, and then eventually ending up with 50% by the end of the year, maybe a little bit more the following year. But fundamentally, the way that we view the offices and workplaces have really changed. So, and one thing that I'm really learning from the experience is that the uncertainty is the only certainty at this time, and that we all need to be prepared to address those changes that are happening very fast. The other thing, as this Gartner quote mentions, is that your employees and students really crave the information, especially when they return to the physical workplace or campus. And the idea is to provide sort of a real-time, location-specific information so you don't inundate them with too much information. So, with empowering the confident return to the workplace and campus is sort of the theme here. As I mentioned earlier, whether it is something that you're already doing or already planning for next month, in late summer, early Q4, or whenever that might be, when your employees and students return, we can do our part in instilling the confidence that the new normal will be safe, and that your organization is doing everything that you can to ensure that. So how do we help everyone be comfortable with the uncomfortable? So with the new normal, I was born and raised in South Korea, so I've been sort of following closely what they're doing in South Korea as well as many other Asian countries, who many of them did not really shut down the offices. So in many cases, they had continue to open the office, and allowing certain levels of people to come in and out. But the idea is that there are certain things that they've been doing that we're now seeing potentially happening here in the U.S. And of course other parts of the world as well. So the picture at the top is a temperature measurement as you enter the workspace. So again, this is not something that everybody will be doing, and I would imagine that it's some companies, some universities may institute this as an optional or a must-have feature in terms of the what you need to do. But the concept here is that again, these are the things that we are seeing for the new normal. In addition to that, the ability to fill out, or the requirement to fill out, a self-assessment form or self-reporting form on a daily basis is something that we're also seeing as well. So as an employee, as a student, potentially you could be required to fill out those forms to confirm that you do not have symptoms for COVID-19. And of course, if you do, then providing the right instructions on what to do. And if you don't have those symptoms, potentially allowing them to come back. So the other thing that you're seeing right in the middle is actually the government issued. This is the government of South Korea issuing the kits, the PPE kits, if you will. Now we hear from lots of other customers that perhaps they are designing their own, branded masks, or providing, of course, lots of other PPEs at the office or at the campus. So that's again a part of the new normal. Marking the elevator floors. I believe these are this is a picture from some place in India. Again, I don't think that this is something that everybody will be doing, but the new normal says, I think in the city of New York, I think the requirement now is that, unless people are wearing masks, only one per elevator is what I heard, the latest. And of course, in other cases, you may, have more people than one, but again, making sure that you are socially distancing those people riding the elevator together. So whatever the protocols may be as you are doing these things, the idea is to really help provide the level of comfort, so people understand what to expect when they come back. And whether it's filling out that self-assessment forms, or checking the temperatures before being allowed to come in, or giving out the PPE kits and so on, all of us will be entering this new normal, and figure out a way to help all of your employees, all of your students and faculty and staff adjust. So to help with this, I believe that a mobile app is a must-have element in your workflow. Hopefully all of you will agree, and hopefully that's the reason why you're on this call. Everyone has at least one smartphone. Now there may be a few exceptions, but for the most part, it's now 2020. And in many cases, they have two smartphones. So the smartphone and the app really go hand in hand in making sure that you have a delivery channel for very valuable information. They use it all the time, everywhere, anytime. And a mobile app is the single most effective way to share location-based, timely information, providing easy access to critical resources, and adjusting quickly to continually changing circumstances. So with this said, of course, the world has changed so that we are also seeing the distributed workforce and distributed campus environments as well. So you don't necessarily have to have a separate app just for that, but the app that you would use for returning people back to the campus or the office could also be used by those people who are working from home. or studying from home. So the concept here is that you can leverage this WorkReady for both purposes. Now, some of the key ideas that we have used to design the app include the following. The first piece is the return with confidence. So preparing your teams and employees and students and really reducing the anxiety when they come back. One feature that at Bella will be showing soon will be the virtual tour. Now, of course, a lot of university campuses have tours, and some of the corporations that we've worked with also had a tour of a brand new headquarters and whatnot. Now, everyone basically will need to be treating back to the campus and workplace as a brand new experience. So how do you actually use a tool like virtual tour to provide information? And also, leveraging some of the technologies to provide a geofenced base location. So as you're arriving at the office, either via car or some other means, you could also be notified of certain changes and whatnot. So a lot of things that, again, we can do to help with returning with confidence. The other part is about remain informed and safe. Again, going back to the confidence and trust level, providing really the location focused information. So we have a lot of customers with lots of different locations. You probably should have a global information as well. But if you're, for example, working in New York City, you really need that New York City specific information. So the idea is to make sure that you can provide that to your end users. Um, the simple things like safety and context, and even food and dining. Even with this, people will have to eat, and so maybe a lot of the cafeterias and dining options are not available at this time, or some contactless options may be available. So, how do you provide that information to your end users? Now, the third item is to really motivate the healthy behaviors. So the concept of nudging really is a key here to be able to, again, show people how to do it, but also providing reminders using things like quick polls and notifications to nudge those behaviors that you desire. And then, of course, really retooling everything from indoor maps and everything else so that you can highlight how you are distancing the different desks and work environments to, again, within the app. Then the last idea is to basically make sure that people are staying healthy, the empowering employees and students, and managing the staggering return. So again, some of our customers are creating different teams. So maybe this week Team A can come in, maybe next week Team B could come in. Some other customers are really working on making sure that you don't exceed certain capacity, and maybe it's a voluntary type of thing. But whatever the rules are that you set for yourselves, the idea is to provide that level of information in a very useful way in a mobile app. So what is Modo WorkReady? So Ed will show you the demo in a little bit. But this solution that we came up with really is derived out of all these conversations that we've had. And the intent here is to provide you with something in case you're not a current Modo customer. And by the way, if you're a current customer, this could also be applicable to you as well by adding new personas or adjusting your app. But the concept here is that we can get you up and running within a matter of days and weeks. So there will, of course, be some level of effort that needs to be done, but for the most part, it is that simple to get something up and running. And so we will show you that in a little bit. And part of that could, again, includes things like the virtual tour, or things like the ability to do self-reporting of various different symptoms that you may want to capture before making sure that the employee is healthy enough to return to work, or for that particular day, right before they arrive. And then the third item is to be able to, again, influence the nudging of the behavior by providing some additional information about things like indoor maps with those circles, whether it's 6 feet or 12 feet or however you want to do this, again, to make sure that they know where to sit, but also be able to find various different amenities, including PPEs. So Modo WorkReady is built on Modo's proven and secure platform. So Again, many of you are familiar with us, but a lot of different major universities around the world utilize Modo, but also lots of very highly security conscious firms. Everyone from very large financial service institutions, investment banks, and others are using Modo. So you can be assured that whatever the solution that we're providing here will be secure and scalable. The other thing is that we're trusted and recommended by many of our customers as well. And so we recently started to really re-engage with Gartner on many different fronts. But one of the areas that we found very encouraging is the fact that a lot of our customers gave collectively 4.8 stars. So it was really good to see. And again, you can be rest assured that we will provide you with what you need from a technology perspective, but equally important, the services side. To make sure that you can get up and running very quickly with Modo WorkReady. So now it's time for a demo. Then Ed's going to actually walk you through this app. But as I mentioned earlier, and as Chris mentioned earlier, you can actually download this app, Modo Workplace, from Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and then use the code WorkReady, that's all one word. And after that, you can again follow along. But I'm going to pass this presenter rights to Ed Bella, who will be actually showing you the live demonstration. And then after that, I'll come back and do a recap. Ed, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. I am now sharing my screen. All right, so thank you, Andrew. And when you first download the Modo WorkReady app, you'll be asked for a workplace code. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that workplace code right now. And as was mentioned, it is WorkReady. And then once you enter the code, you'll be presented with a choose location screen. Now the app is geo-aware and it can be configured to suggest a location based on your GPS coordinates. Or you can choose not to have a location chosen, and you can choose your own location. So depending on where you are, whether you're working at home, whether you're traveling, you can choose the right location for you. For those employees who are working remotely, I may choose a location that is tailored to services that are necessary to work efficiently away from the offices. So for our demonstration, I will choose New York, and I will immediately be shown a dashboard at the top with access to other features further down the screen. Now the dashboard will show me office information such as whether the office is open for business, perhaps work schedules, or any tasks I need to perform, such as to take my daily assessment. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Assessments tab, and because I've already taken today's assessment, I will see that this screen shows that I'm clear to enter the office. It's highly visible and legible so that the employee can easily show a security guard from their car or at the front desk that they have been cleared for entry. If I haven't already taken today's assessment, I will see a screen similar to what you see here that shows that I might want to go ahead and answer some questions based on state guidelines, what they're being required to ask, as well as questions that my company or your company may want to ask, such as what's the reason for coming into the office if you're trying to limit office occupancy. Back to the home screen. Here I can see what resources are available to me, common requests employees may have. I can also see some quick polls, access to local and statewide guidelines, as well as a work from home toolkit to assist remote workers with resources and IT assistance. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of the features that are included in the WorkReady app. The new normal. So the new normal includes a virtual tour, which Andrew mentioned earlier, which explains how the workplace has changed, what different entry point procedures are, what the elevator policies are, and possibly even the seating arrangements. Here I can also subscribe to receive updates for different types of services. So for example, new cleaning and team schedules, IT status updates, perhaps tips on health and wellness or different food options, which can help stagger dining hours. As I scroll down here and we take a look at entry point, this screen can give employees information on the new procedures for entering the workplace, as well as access to work schedules, perhaps, social distancing policies, and other information. Next on the tour, elevators, where I can go ahead and take a look at what are the new elevator policies, with reminders of social distancing, warnings on touching elevator walls, and perhaps even links to requesting sanitization. Now, we're going to go ahead and make changes to this particular screen later on in the demo, just to show you what it takes and actually how simple it is to make changes to the app. But for now, let's go back to the home screen. All right, so back to the home screen, I can now also take a look at find a seat. So let's go ahead and click on that. Finding a seat will show me what the new floor plans and seating arrangements are in order to maintain social distancing. So if I click on view map to see what the seating arrangements are, for example, I can see that there are some circles around certain desks that have been made available. Now, as more and more users and employees are allowed back into the workplace, this map can very easily be updated. So it can be updated in real time so that we can reflect what those new changes and what those new policies are. Finding conference rooms, another feature where I'm able to go ahead and take a look at any available conference rooms. And if I go ahead and zoom in and take a look at a particular conference room, here I can go ahead and see what amenities are available and also take a look at what the updated capacity limits are as well for the boardroom or for this particular room. All right, going back to the home screen, I can also request cleaning or PPE. I'm going to go ahead and choose request PPE, where I can very easily fill out a request form or even get location information on where to find these amenities. So if I go ahead and click on view map, for example, I can take a look at where specific amenities are. So if I choose PPE station, for example, I can see where a particular station is, or I can view all of them on a map to see which one is the closest to me. All right, moving back to the home screen. Now the home screen can also give me access to alerts, transit information. Let's go ahead and take a look at my getting here example, where I can see corporate shuttle information, perhaps even seeing a live shuttle tracker if your shuttle corporate, or if your shuttle system allows real-time access or real-time locations, you can also have that available in the app, and even links to rideshare companies as well. So you can have that all in transit. Where to eat, very important for employees to know where to have lunch, for example. Now, if your cafeteria is closed, you might have that information front and center, but also you might want to have other options. So maybe nearby options, maybe links to delivery services so that you can go ahead and grab your lunch safely. And then, of course, IT help. Here, I'm showing I can get a status of what services are currently available. Also, if I do need to make a request, I can go ahead and enter a form. So what is your issue? Maybe I have VPN issues, email services, what have you. I can go ahead and submit a request for my IT services there. Now, we also have quick polls. So quick polls, in this case, what is your biggest concern about returning to the office? I might want to go ahead and say staying safe. Now, what quick polls do, and what I'll do is I'll actually go to a list of different examples, is that you're able to get a pulse of what your employees are thinking, as well as gather important feedback on their needs and even nudge employee behavior to help them adjust to the new normal. Back here at the home screen, down at the very bottom, I also have other information. So for example, wellness, where employees can be provided with resources for not only physical health, but also mental health, perhaps allowing your employees to schedule a wellness check, information on what to do if they feel they have COVID-19, and other information that you might have available. Now, this screen, as well as all the other screens that I've shown you, can easily be tailored and updated with information specific to your workplace location or which resources you have available. Local guidelines, this is where I can go ahead and show information that's specific to a particular location. In this example, I'm seeing guidelines for reopening New York issued by the state where social distancing guidelines are shown. Oops. Here I actually have, I clicked on the CDC guidelines. This is actually an example where Modo WorkReady includes technology that can bring in external content, for example, from other websites and make them available in the app. This here is an example of guidance issued directly from the CDC website and how it can be displayed in the app. So as guidelines change and evolve from the CDC, it will automatically be reflected in the app without any need to update the app to reflect those changes. Going back to this screen, what I was going to show you is here, of course, your physical distancing guidelines, maybe your hygiene and cleaning guidelines. So again, a very quick and easy way where your employees can find out what the latest guidelines and policies are. All right, let's just take a couple of other looks. Work from home toolkit. This is included in WorkReady, where you might have a toolkit to have your employees have access and find information on how to access email, for example, how trainings are conducted, how to stay in touch with managers, and of course, you can add many other options here in order to make your employees work more efficiently at home. All right, so what about those that are actually working remotely? So, you know, perhaps you're working from home or a different location. What I can do is go ahead and choose a different location. And it might be global employees in this example, where rather than knowing what's for dining, my dining options and transit options, because I'm working from home, I can see team information at the very top for my group or team. I can also get access to IT help. Of course, you'd really want that for those employees that are working away from the office. Again, the ability to request PPE. A lot of times companies are sending these care packages to employees that request them. So that can be an option. Again, we see a quick poll, and then at the bottom, I might have wellness information. In this case, rather than the New York options for wellness, I might want to have available some videos for meditation, right? So again, the different options are limitless as far as what types of resources you can have available for your employees. All right, now we mentioned that Modo WorkReady is a no-code platform that enables non-programmers to build workplace apps without knowing any code. So what I want to do is go ahead and show you the Modo App Center. And here in the App Center, you can see that we have, first of all, different workspaces available. So the workspaces is where you can go ahead and delegate to different administrators and allow them to make updates to specific parts of the application. So for example, if I go ahead and choose New York, I can see these are the different screens and modules I can change in the New York City workspace. And I can also see and grant rights to additional employees, or I should say administrators, to give them rights to this workspace. Now, the rights I give them may not be manager, it might be editor, so they can go ahead and make changes or suggest changes, but not actually have them go live in the app unless they get approved. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and make a change to one of the screens that we've shown earlier, the elevator screen, because there's some changes that I've been made aware of that need to be performed. So as you can see here, I went to this particular screen, and I can see a preview of the screen here on the right. So I've been asked to add a image at the very top and also make changes to this, this verbiage, which is outdated. So here on the left, I can go ahead and take a look at the different types of contents that we have. And as I scroll down, you can see that it highlights on the right what that content block is affecting. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the content heading here. Now it does say maximum 4 people are permitted in a single elevator. That's actually been changed. That's no longer true. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make that change. And what we're going to do, I'm just going to copy it in here and paste it. So elevators should be occupied by only one individual at a time, unless all occupants are wearing face masks. If occupied, By more than one person, you need to keep the occupancy under 50% maximum capacity. So let's go ahead and make that change. And what I want to do is also add a additional content item. So when I click add, these are all the different types of contents that I can add into the app. I can very easily add videos, I can add a map, slideshow, a poll, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add an image. I'm going to go ahead and click next. So as you can see, very simple to add additional assets into the app. I'm going to go ahead and upload an image, and it's going to be an elevator. Make it a little more snazzier as far as looks are concerned. So let's go ahead and save that. And when I add that item, it adds it to the very bottom. So let's go ahead and, as you can see, I can very easily update it or update the screen so it's at the very top. And if I go ahead and let's just make sure there's no margins. So you have lots of styling options as well. So I might not want to have any margins for the image itself. And as you can see here, I can put borders and such. But let's go ahead and save and preview it. When I save and preview, I can see exactly what's going to be shown in the app before I actually make it go live. You can see I did have these updates now. This area did change. I can also see what it might look like as a preview on a tablet. I can go ahead and see what it might look like on a desktop or an Android. But right now it looks pretty good. I might want to change the margins here to make it a little bit tighter. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look for demo purposes, and let's deploy this. So when I click deploy, I don't have to worry about uploading the app into the App Store. I don't have to ask my employees to download the latest changes. This actually takes seconds to do. So when I click on deploy to production, assuming I have the rights to deploy it, you can see that it's updated immediately. And if I go into the app, and those that have downloaded the app can go ahead and go into the virtual tour and see that. But I need to now give word and let my employees know that these changes have been made in the app. And how do I do that? Well, we have a very powerful feature, Communicate, where we can send notifications out. And we can send it out in a number of different ways. One is by a public channel, meaning that I can go ahead and target a specific location or persona. So in this case, I might want to target all of the New York employees. I can also send it out to personal channels. So this is based on attributes of the user. So what group do they belong to, maybe what their role is, and I can even send it out to individuals as well here. And then of course, opt-in channels. These are the channels we saw earlier where users can subscribe to receive these notifications. And then lastly, location-based channels, where as a user is entering a geofence, a particular location, they can go ahead and trigger a notification to be sent to them. So, you know, actually, when I go down here to set up the beacons, so you can have beacons or geofences. If we take a look at the geofences I've created, I have one in New York, so you can have a geofence set up around a particular location. In this case, it's this particular address. If I wanted to go ahead and change the radius, as far as, you know, how far from that location does a user need to be before they get that notification, I can go ahead and make that change here as well. A common use case for that is, you know, as users are getting close to the office, you might want to remind them that you need to enter the office in a particular location. You might want to also remind them that they need to take the self-assessment before going to the front desk, or perhaps there are certain floors that are not open because of occupancy limits. You can let them know that ahead of time. Let's go ahead and send out a notification. And what I'm going to do is send it to a public channel, and the channel is New York. And in order for me to create that message, I simply need to click create message, go ahead and put a title in there. The elevator protocol has changed, for example. And then here I might want to go ahead and put something where, you know, the elevator guidance has changed. Please take a look at the virtual tour for more information. And then down below for the link title, let's go ahead and put revised elevator protocol. We can even include, well, we want to include a link. Now the link could be to another website, or another screen within the app. So in this case, we want to take them to the updated elevator screen that we just updated a few minutes ago. We can also add an image. I can go ahead and upload the elevator image that I have here, for example. And then for screen readers, you do want to put in alt text to let them know what image is being shown for those with accessibility problems. And then here, target audience, we want to target New York. I want to notify those users via a push notification, but notice I can also have an in-app banner to be displayed on pages or screens or all screens or a particular screen. All right, I can also schedule it to start and end at a particular time, but let's go ahead and save it. So I've saved that. I can see right here, I have a sanity check of how many users are going to be receiving that notification, just to make sure that indeed I set all the parameters up properly. And then what I'm going to do is actually go to my home screen of my phone. And what we're going to do is go ahead and click send. So this is almost in real time, typically. So when I click send, it gives me a confirmation. Let's go ahead and click send. And I received it immediately on my, well, I should say on my phone. But you know, the one thing that I did do is I went ahead and chose my location as global employee rather than New York. So let me go ahead and switch over to New York. And if I would have been in New York, I would have received that as a push notification. In this case, you can see at the very top, I have my message inbox letting me know that I have that notification ready for me. The elevator protocol has changed. Let's go ahead and click on that. And this is the notification. The elevator protocol has changed. The guidance has changed. Please take a look at the virtual tour for more info. So I am going to go ahead and click on that link, the revised elevator protocol, where I will be able to go ahead and see at the very bottom, it says an update is available for the screen. There is my image. There is my updated text around the changes that have been made right here. And as you can see, you can update your employees in near real time whenever you need to for important notifications. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Andrew and let him continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, Ed, thank you very much for the demonstration. Okay, so I think as you've seen, the Modo WorkReady is really designed to get you up and running in days and not months. And again, this is available to any of non-Modo customers. However, if you're a current Modo customer, especially for universities, we're actively working on an equivalent version so that you can leverage that. Of course, you could already set up a persona within your app. So that's something that you can do. And again, we will provide you with more info on that after the webinar. So the other thing that I wanted to just highlight is this. So, you know, what is the difference between Modo Workplace, Modo Campus versus the Modo WorkReady? Well, the way that we've been thinking about this is as follows. So we've been sort of using this agile curve to really illustrate how these apps for universities, the apps for large enterprises evolve over time. And as things have radically changed, especially in the last few weeks and months, the idea is that again we want to make sure that you have a really solid you know, starting point with Modo WorkReady. So being able to you know, have this WorkReady as your starting point, that's really designed to be a standalone solution for new customers, and you know, to get something up and running quickly with a return to work app built in a matter of hours and days. And the idea is to also leverage some of the really useful features, such as location-based notification. So the thing that Ed showed, that example where I think it was around the New York City Hall, you can set a radius. So if you're entering that region, then you will actually get a notification. So the idea is that instead of broadcasting to everybody in your company, only do that as people are coming back in, right? And then you can also marry that with beacons, again, to make it more useful for you, even indoors as well. So again, that's sort of a Modo WorkReady. And after Modo WorkReady, if you want to take it to the next level, then of course we can get you a fully branded Modo Workplace app or Modo Campus app. And that's something that usually takes a little bit more than the time it takes to get the Modo WorkReady up and running, but something that we can actually work with you to do that. Again, for our existing Modo Workplace and Modo Campus customers, you can immediately take advantage of what we are doing now without any additional fees, so long as your license supports that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that there are tons and tons of resources, and as I mentioned before, a lot of we've been super busy, both generating new content and also coming up with ideas and just brainstorming with tons of different customers of what the issues are that they're facing, and how we can help them solve those issues. And the great thing is that they all want to collaborate, right? So especially on the higher ed side, we got tons of customers we're working with closely. In fact, I think I have a call coming up soon with a advisory board to really talk about some of the challenges and then how we can help solve the problem. Some of the problem solutions do not require any new technology, right? So things like the starter kits, it's all good to go. And we got a bunch of them, again, all available to our customers. So you can actually take that. I know that the commencement season is technically almost over, but for those who still need a virtual commencement starter kit, here we go. And then or virtual new student orientation kit, again, we have tons of that ready to go. So that's basically what we can offer to our hired customers today. And again, we're working on some additional items to follow. So let's actually get to a few questions. Maybe we have time, Chris, to answer about 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Andrew and Ed, for speaking today. We'll get started right away with this question right here. If you have multiple business locations, is it possible to update the self-assessment questionnaire to reflect each specific state's requirement?
Yes, so that's absolutely possible. The way you would do it is basically leveraging the Modo App Center, and then perhaps even setting up different workspaces. So, for example, if you have a location in New York or California or Florida, you could basically assign the task to somebody local if you want, or somebody central who can basically manage that. So that's super easy to do, and that's something that can be done in a matter of a few minutes. And again, just like what Ed demonstrated, it can be up and running in the app as a full feature without doing much work.
Perfect. All right, so this next question refers to, there was a banner on the homepage of the WorkReady app, but it mentions being on the gold team. So the question is, how is the "you are on the gold team" managed? Is that a persona?
Yeah. So the assumption is that we would tie this into some sort of a single sign-on system. So many universities, many corporate customers are using everything from Ping, Okta, Microsoft Azure, AD, and so on. So we would just connect to that system to identify that the user is authorized and of course authenticated. And then based on the attributes that the customer would provide to our system, then we can also display the status. For example, if you are in certain team, you're allowed to come into the office this week, or you're allowed to do certain things. All that stuff can be managed to what we call My Persona within the app, and that would actually be coming from an attribute from the customer's IDP. So we can work with you on figuring that stuff out, but the idea is to keep it simple and make sure that we can, obviously, we need to be able to authenticate, to get the personalized experience, but it's just aligning what you want to, show for the WorkReady program. Now, for the workplace, of course, you can do lots and lots more interesting things with a similar approach, but yeah, for now, WorkReady for that particular piece, that's how it would be implemented.
Thanks, Andrew. The request PPE or room cleaning after each meeting looks interesting. How does this work?
Yeah, so for the WorkReady program, again, this is a super simple. You create a form and then have that go out as an email, and we can set up the how the email would route for the individual ones, and then you can just simply triage that for the different location. I suppose you could also have a location-specific form that goes to different email addresses if you want. So that's for the simple WorkReady program. Now, if it's for the more, the more elaborate one, then of course we can tie that to ServiceNow. We can tie that to, other types of a ticketing system that you have as well. But that would essentially require some additional work and, the configuration. But that's something that we support out of Modo Workplace and Modo Campus.
If you do have any questions and you just direly want to email us right at this moment, you can email communications with an S at the end at modolabs.com. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening.